long I can hold it.
Yeah. It's the endurance test of holding the camera. Yeah. Huh. Well, we're at Doughmore Beach, a little over 3 months into our nomad journey. Yeah, it's been interesting. There's really a lot. Like,
there's been so much like just growing and learning just from being out here. Not necessarily like the particular place that we're in, but just as a family.
Yeah, like resetting like our physical surroundings and not having as many like, you know, possessions or things that we go and do near the house, like whether it's like lessons or, you know, the restaurant we go grab dinner at when we don't feel like cooking, or all of those things. Like there's a whole lot of like routine and busyness that are just gone, and that leaves really just like, you know, our relationships and just the core of like, you know, what do we have to keep and that's still with us, like just our family members and some like, you know, basic activities and interests, and just really shines a light on like, well, how are those things and like what are we working on, or
yeah, honesty of it, you know. If someone's like, if one of the kids isn't very happy, they don't have like another outlet for that. Like that will come out at home. I think we've moved so many times that it's like, well, we have reset everything all the time, so many times as a family already, but in a sense we were resetting the same idea. Like we were resetting places to eat and things to do and activities and friends, and this has been so different. So different.
Yeah, for sure. Like, and some of those things, like obviously we get like a grocery store and we find the grocery stores that we shop at, and you know,
which is such a delight. Honestly, it's so fun to discover that.
That's been pretty fun. But we just haven't replaced eating out. Like we just barely eat out anymore.
Oh, it feels complicated. Like for sure when it was in a different language, it was just like the language barrier for ordering for 5 kids at the table, plus figuring out what we wanted on the menu. It took so long. We did it, but it would not very often.
Yeah, just a few times.
But yeah, even here, now that we're here, it's like, well, we're pretty far away from stuff, and I'd rather just pack and know what I have instead of like hoping that there's a place.
Yeah, a lot of Ireland is really just kind of rural.
The part that we've been in.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also like exorbitantly expensive, it seems like now. I'm sure it was before, but we were more oblivious to that in the US.
Oh, eating out? Yeah.
Yeah, it just more seems like, well, we'd probably rather do something different with that $100 every single time we go out. I don't know. It just seems like,
yeah, I feel like grocery shopping is generally cheaper than we were spending in the United States for similar quality stuff. But restaurants are as much, if not more expensive. And some of that might be VAT and the way that factors into the price you're shown, but I'm not sure.
I found a spider.
Oh.
Let's separate the spider from our bodies. Okay, there we go. I think the grocery store has been a way that like normal is still there for us. Is like we shop for food and we're still shopping for food. So that's fun. I think when we try to eat out, it's a little bit like, well, this isn't as familiar to the kids anyway. Like, even if they are able to find mac and cheese, which they can't, like it wouldn't be the mac and cheese they think. Or if they order a burger, it's like not quite maybe what they're expecting. And so it's sort of not as relaxing as if we just made it at home. I don't know, but there's still like adventure to be had. It's not that it's not fun, but I feel like we used to get a lot of adventure about eating out, and I feel like we're getting adventure just from living now.
Yeah, our baseline adventure is much higher.
We're just exploring. Every house is different, every neighborhood or not neighborhood, as the case may be. Yeah. Anyway. What things are harder or easier? Is anything easier? Yeah, I think some things are easier.
What's easier?
Well, just this morning I was like, we don't have a puppy. Puppies are hard. And we actually don't have the opportunity to have a puppy. So it sort of like negates all of that that part. Like, it really is taking care of ourselves and our family. Which you could say is like, maybe you're missing things, but I don't know yet.
That's true. And like all the yard projects and...
Yeah, there's no home improvement.
There was really a lot of, time and effort and money and stuff spent on that sort of thing when we owned a house before. Even
just projects. I feel like I just had a never-ending list of things I could be doing. Like, if I sat down on the couch in my house, I'd be like, well, I could be doing this, or I could be doing that, or like, what if I started this group, or what if we made this happen? And none of that is really possible here in a way that I've felt yet. And so all of a sudden there's this real empty space that is awesome, like, because then there's place to create. Because it's like, so what have we done with that empty space? Like, I feel like in Ireland is the first time we're really like having empty space and being like not just exhausted.
Yeah, I agree with that. But yeah, even to the point of like, oh, we want to do a project. Oh, do we jot stuff down in a notebook? Okay, let's get a notebook. How long are we going to keep this notebook?
I did. I've already thrown away one that I got here because it's like, oh, it served its purpose. I'm done.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Like, I finished a journal, like filled it up and got a new one to start. But yeah, that second one, the first one is like, okay, do I take it back to and leave it in a storage unit when I go, or do we just throw it away? Or, because I'm not going to lug around filled up notebooks. So,
but it emphasizes that it doesn't become unimportant to write. Like, writing is still for its own value.
Yeah, I think that's really like meaningful, like the forced articulation and the practice of it.
And sort of seeing that it has value in its own right, whether you keep it or not.
Yeah, it's not the book that has things written in it, it's having written all those pages. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. And the routine, we keep like changing up. Okay, kids, this time, this is what dishes look like. Okay, so for example, we had like, I don't know if examples matter, but it's like all the kids go in and do the dishes for these days. And then on the other days, I'll do the dishes. And on the other days, Dad will do the dishes. And then the kids, I was hoping, I had this image that, oh, they're gonna all get along and like figure it out and work as a team. And it worked like once that way, and then it was like, no, just the older kids were doing more work than the younger kids, and it wasn't making anyone happy. So then we switched it, and we're like, okay, let's try this. How about we go off in pairs? And that idea was like, yeah, let's do that, and then we never did it, because it just wasn't realistic. So now it's like, okay, Mom is gonna mentor you until you're ready to like do the dishes yourself and graduate into like, it's just your day to do it. And so far that's working, but it's like the iterations are faster as far as like, is this working, is this not working, and what is gonna work, and let's try something new. It's we've always done that. Every place we go, it's a different system, but it's like, it's just faster now, the iterations, the change, trying to get it in a healthy, happy way is like, no, that's not working, we don't have to keep it. If it's not working, we don't have to keep it. There's nothing like stopping us from trying something different.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of discovery on that. Even this like schedule in the day, like we've very recently started more structuring like breakfast. Like, okay, everyone's up, day starts, and we have breakfast together. In part to kind of spur some like, nutritional improvements, but some just like, let's actually start the day, guys, and have some of our daily routine stuff happen in the beginning of the day instead of like trying to remember to do it at bedtime. And I mean, it's been good so far, but yeah, like stuff like we exercise and like read scriptures and like all those things that were like best effort when they happen late or never happened, like exercise, like actually like, put some of these like important things that we want our like attention and, faculties available for, and to do them on a regular basis. Like, well, yeah, if we do those in the morning, that actually works just fine. A couple days to emphasize, but like it's working at all, which is more than it has done before. So that's
consistently.
Cool
the consistency seems like easier to find.
Yeah.
Somehow, I don't know, maybe because of all the empty space.
Sure. Yeah, it is. one thing we didn't, I guess, exactly expect, but even Ireland is farther north than we ever lived in the US, like including when, or Canada. Like we were in British Columbia for a little bit, and we are several degrees latitude north of where we lived in British Columbia here on the west coast of Ireland, and it is light until it's not fully dark until nearly midnight. And even at midnight, if you look out the window, like the horizon is still like lit up a little bit. It looks dark out the window.
I would not know what it looks like after midnight. But I see the sunrise and it's gorgeous. It's stunning.
Yeah, it's
but not that many hours after midnight.
That has pushed the kids later and later too. In terms of like how late are they up at night, and like people are still trucking along at like 9 p.m. Or later, and people aren't rolling out of bed like our teenager or teenager adjacent children who actually sleep in now. So like, yeah, we have breakfast routine, but it starts at 10.
And the older ones were getting up at 10, except this morning when I said they could have media when they woke up. I told them yesterday, and they're all out of bed at like 8. That was so funny. I was like, maybe that's all it needed.
Yeah. Huh.
Anyway, it was pretty funny. The 3 oldest were up before the younger kids.
What?
I know. That's like never happened. It was very funny.
Yeah, it's unexpected.
I like all the space in the day though, just to work with. Like it feels moldable, or maybe that's too strong of a word, but it does feel like we can do things, and it feels like if we don't do things, there's nothing to do, which is okay, because then maybe someone else will come up with something to do.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, it's very interesting though. There's no filler. There's no filler. I don't know how, I wish I could explain that better.
Yeah, I mean, it's really easy for all the routine of like yeah, and the routine that gets we got his bee buzzing. I wonder if it comes up, the mic will pick that up. But things like, okay, well, Alice has jujitsu, and it's great that she had jujitsu, but okay, there's a drive on either side of jujitsu that expands the time. Or when the boys in their CrossFit, okay, yeah, it was 20 minutes each way, or 15 to 20 each way, so that's like another half hour, and just like...
And it happens right during dinner time, so do you plan ahead dinner, or do you have dinner late, or do you eat out? I mean, always this problem.
Yeah, and like so many of those things that include that, you know, drive round trip, and like really you can fill up an awful lot of the day that way.
Yeah, especially when they're multiple times a week, and then that's only one kid, and guess what, there's a lot more than one kid in our family, and so it's like there's so much, there could be just so much driving, and I feel like I really did minimize that as much as with still giving them opportunities to do things, but man, it's a lot of time in the day.
Yeah, it is interesting having school and work stuff still happen during US business hours as well, because a lot of the like cadence of meals and like filling up the day is, well, that still happens local business local time, but then it's more in like just this like hunker down period of the day. It works out for, that's a great sentence. Sarcastically, he says.
No, I liked it. Because you do hunker down to like get your work done.
Yeah,
like,
and
to get the schoolwork done. It's like a hunker, and this is
nice. We've already done this. It's not like interspersed with like, okay, now there's lunch in the middle of it, and now there's other stuff happening, and all this. No, it's like that time of the day is the like it's quiet done. Do it time.
Yeah.
So when the kids are on school, they're on summer break now, but yeah, 5 p.m. like we're home and they're online for a few hours, and I really like the broad, uninterrupted work time, and then like the family all goes to bed, and it's just like, yeah, it's
focus on it.
No interruptions, focus. Like, it actually works out really nicely, I think.
Yeah, and I don't know how you could just artificially do that if you weren't in a different time zone, because I agree, like the family time is so like good now, because that work day is shifted backwards.
Yeah, especially with like those activities, whether it's school or work, all involve interacting with other people, and really like getting a group of people who are doing that, it's normal for folks to do that during the day, like during business hours, like that's when school or work happens. So in order to flip the schedule for ourselves, we basically had to move ourselves, you know, a third of the way around the world. And we didn't do it for that purpose, but it is an interesting thing to observe.
I'm shocked it's so good.
Yeah, really like how it works.
Yeah. We have had challenges as far as like, okay, what do friends look like now, right? And that is a challenge, do not get me wrong. But I scoured the internet. Maybe that's an exaggeration. I did look to find like, okay, what's a good thing for Alice specifically? Teenagers need more people, and I did find her a group that I think is going to work out great. I know there's supposed to be a lot of like, oh, there's world school social pop-ups, but that is true. But it's sort of like not necessarily where we're going to be or where our visas are refreshed for, or like you kind of have to plan ahead for those, and
we have to plan kind of far ahead to be in a country at a certain time.
Yet. Yeah, to end up there. So that could work eventually, but it's going to be a little while before we actually connect that way.
Yeah. It takes a lot of doing to line up all of the like lodging for this many people, and where are cars going to work out, and do we need a car, and it's really a lot of layers of, and then transferring from the airport with all of our luggage to an Airbnb, because like sometimes when we can get a 7-seater car, yeah, it's fine, it's got 7 seatbelts for the people, but not for all our stuff. So what are we going to do to get our stuff? And anyway, the logistics of it are tricky, so we try not to.
We're getting better as far as
push that too hard.
Understanding what that is. Like, can we reasonably expect to be able to walk from here to here, or do we need to get an Uber, or do we need to rent 2 cars instead of 1, or can we get a bigger van? I don't know. These are still things that we're working on, but we're going to try public transit next time, and we'll see how that goes. Yeah,
we're doing our first stretch without a car, which I'm excited about.
Yeah.
After this one.
We really did not have experience with this, like, in our life so far, other than, like, vacations without kids.
Yeah, 2 days in Cherbourg or 2 days in Paris.
Or going to New York City or something for a minute, you know?
Yeah.
I'm not really worried about figuring things out, because every place we move we have to figure something out, and it's not different just because this move is like a transient thing, or like it's not to one place, it's a move to many places, but it's a move to like the lifestyle of changing locations over and over again and exploring that place, and it just has its own things to figure out. I mean, everywhere we've moved has things to figure out.
Yeah, for sure.
Navigating, just like when we went from Connecticut to California, both of the like trash systems that they have in place were like, oh, this is like the only way you do this. And I'm like, no, you guys do it so differently from each other, but you have to figure out how to ask the right question, or they just assume that that's an obvious answer. And it's like, no, like, anyway. There's things that are,
like large item pickup, or
how to drop off a dead mattress, or where to take extra recycling, or like these things are like, I didn't even know what to Google when we moved to Canada. I was like, isn't it called an eco station or something? It wasn't called a recycling center. Like in Washington, it was recycling center or something. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Anyway, and it was like I couldn't even search for it. I didn't have the right term.
Yeah, and California was tough about that. Well, anyway, we can.
Yeah.
Anyway, garbage is different in different states, guys.
But all I'm trying to say is that there are assumptions that go with where you are that if you're not from there, you don't already know. And this is also true for this new version of traveling. Like, there's assumptions that we just don't already know, that we learn as we go. And we just have to figure out how to ask the right question and how to search for the right thing.
Yeah.
And then try it and be like, was that possible? Or is there a better way? Like, yeah. But so far it's so good. Like, even the couple of like, oh, I don't know how this is gonna work, have just been so perfect. Like, so perfect. It just works out. Yeah, there's a way. Yeah.
I am interested in being less remote periodically and seeing what opportunities shake out of that.
Yeah.
And what they realize, like Mars and Alice are excited about having some more autonomy and, like, you know, ride the bus or go to the store or that sort of thing.
Shop without the parents.
Yeah.
Go check things out. I'm excited for them to do that. It'll be good.
Yeah. There are assumptions like that that we've been kind of letting go of, because like most everywhere we've been, it's like, yeah, these are just towns. Like, people live here. There's normal life going on all over the place.
Yeah.
And for us too, because like when you're leaving the U.S., everyone's like, oh yeah, get one of those like belt or necklace wallet things, because pickpockets in Europe, guys. And like, okay,
which is true. I don't think that's not
in
true.
like particular cities or tourist areas or whatever, sure, I'm not doubting that, but like
what I don't want is an update later that's like, guys, we were totally wrong.
Yeah, my pocket totally got picked. That could happen. That could happen. Just, but like the level of like, what is the level of risk on that? Like, you know, in normal day-to-day life, I don't think it's any different than, you know, if
being in a city.
Yeah.
Like, if you're in a city, then you're in a city. But the thing is, we don't know which are the parts. Like if you're familiar with the city, you know, like, oh, you don't go there. But like, we wouldn't know that even when we're booking like Airbnbs. We're like,
true.
Oh, that's a cheap one. Like, maybe that's not a good thing, and we're just gonna find out when we get there. Honestly, but it'll probably be fine. It'll be fine. No, I feel good about places that we've been so far. Is so beautiful. Yeah, we're learning stuff.
Yeah,
it's cool. I feel so much more confident to travel with the family than we did before. We've done plenty of traveling, but it's just all been U.S.
Yeah, it's all been, you know, pile the stuff in the car, guys,
Canada.
And we start driving.
Yeah. And there's always a gas station, and there's always somewhere to eat. Like, you can make a lot of assumptions where we don't make those assumptions anymore.
Yeah.
I love all my people. There's always people everywhere, and it'll be interesting to see how this turns into that. Like, I mean, so far, yes, I've connected with different people, but so short and fast. It's like, we'll see how that ends up, you know?
Yeah.
If we get to keep any of them longer term, it'd be fun.
We haven't started collecting people on this nomad thing yet.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how that happens, how that works out.
Yeah, we'll see.
I think we're starting to just get into the groove of like, okay, this is what this length of stay feels like, and this is what we have time to sort of like feel through and accomplish. And honestly, we're working a lot on ourselves and just like, what is the rhythm, and can we be like, is everything okay? Yeah, okay, we're okay.
Yeah, there's
you know?
Definitely, like, we have a few of us who are prone to a bit of anxiety, and man, that like layer of routine being gone is like,
yeah,
really a challenge to work through.
It is not. It brings it to nuts and bolts. Like, how are things going? You know, and is it working? It's beautiful though.
Yeah.
I just can't even categorize. I don't know a good word for that, but just how much we have overcome already in like 3 months is astounding. Like, just not like a pat on the back, but just like there is so much to learn here. Like, so much, and it's cool. Yeah, it's like can't be fabricated. Or anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of circles back to like what we were talking about at the beginning with like the removal of routine and like zeroing in on, you know, relationships and like, okay, what do I want to do, and like what is meaningful? Like, yeah, that layer of like why are we doing what we're doing, and like intentionally, because much more intentionally spending each unit of time in the day, man, it just really brings home like, okay, like what is important to me and us, and and that he asked each of us that question. So for, you know, the kids and their discovery, and yeah, it's been very illuminating.
Excited to see what we learn next.
Yeah, we're only 3 months in. It feels like
maybe we'll get better at it.
We can hope.
It doesn't feel as, I don't know, tightrope. Not that it was a tightrope before. No, anyway, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah, it's getting better, and we'll see what we continue to run into, but it's been good.